So as for the question, would I recommend the book? Yes, although if it wasn't for the fact that I really enjoyed the ending and it was a reasonably short book, I'm not sure that that would have necessarily have been my answer. Hi everyone, my name is Terry Westwell, and today is Tuesday, which means it's time to discuss our Panic at the Book Club book of the week, which is The Murder After the Night Before by Katy Brent. If you like romance, fantasy, or even thriller, basically anything fiction book related, then I suggest you head on over to the channel's intro video, where you can find out more information on how you can take part in this online book club. We announce books at least 4 weeks in advance, and we accept your bookish feedback in a wide manner of ways. Post your comment below a video, send in a voice note, or even send me a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message. Molly's best friend, Posey, is dead, and the police believe that it was a tragic accident, but something doesn't quite feel right. Posey was keeping secrets, and Molly thinks that she owes it to her friend to find out what happened. The issue is she can't remember a thing. She's woken up with a hangover from hell, a stranger in her bed, and to add to all the chaos, she's gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But that won't stop her from getting to the truth. So this is the spoiler-free part of the video, where first we'll discuss any spoiler-free points before moving on to a clearly marked section of the video which will contain spoilers and more specifics about the book. I am sorry if I sound a bit rough today, guys. I am definitely coming down with something, but that won't stop us from filming this episode. So let's start with those chapter lengths. They did vary quite a lot, anywhere between, I'd say, 5 and 20 pages. I think they definitely seemed to get shorter more towards the end, which made it feel like the book was going a lot faster and helped to build that suspension. I will say that the beginning and the end of the book were fairly fast-paced. Like, it does throw you into things pretty quickly with a lot happening all at once. However, the middle slowed down quite a lot, throwing the pacing off a little too much for my liking, but that being said, those last 70 or so pages, I did not want to put the book down. It was dramatic and very fitting for the main character. I mean, she was also really dramatic. It was suspenseful, and it did improve my overall rating. I really like to annotate my books, and throughout I was constantly throwing out new theories and trying to guess what the hell was going on. The book was a little over 300 pages, so not a particularly long read. So when I say that the book's pacing really slowed, it wasn't for a particularly long time, and I think that it may have been because I was expecting a little bit more like dramatic investigating on Molly's part, when in fact it was probably a lot closer to what it would really be like for a journalist to investigate in that sort of situation. And that doesn't mean that we didn't get that intensity that we all know and love in a good drama. It was fun, quick and easy to read, and I really enjoyed just how British it was. Like any Brit who enjoys a good cup of tea, Molly knows that it can go a long way of making a shit day that bit better. I mean, if I ever go back and read this book again, I think I'll probably try and keep track of just how many times the word tea came up, because it felt like a lot. And you know what, in certain situations it's probably not that unrealistic. Like, I could go to my grandma's and easily have like half a dozen cups of tea. That woman makes a banging cuppa. Anyway, when I read books like this, I do really enjoy the cultural mannerisms, the language, and the settings that we experience, and I think that this book did that really well. If I had to compare this to any other book, it would probably be How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. I think much like this book, it wasn't at all what I was expecting, and they do have fairly similar writing styles in that easy to read sort of way, and although the narratives are totally different, they do touch up on some similar subjects. Now we're moving on to that part of the video where I suggest if you haven't read this book yet, go do that first, because beyond this point there'll definitely be spoilers. The book wasn't at all what I was expecting. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the book cover or I don't know, despite the fact that the book is about murder, in the last 70 pages, when things started to really come together, it just became about a much heavier topic. I must say that in the beginning, I did write in the margins that I thought it was weird that Molly had forgotten a whole night. Like, I did question the book and whether or not it was going to be unrealistic, because I don't know, like, that doesn't really happen, right? Not unless there's more than just alcohol involved. And when it came to that, some people might say that the book was predictable given the ending, but it really wasn't. I think that, if anything, it speaks more volumes to the point that the book was trying to make. The fact that it crossed my mind so early on in the book, because as a woman, that is something that you have to consider. So I was a little surprised that it didn't even occur to Molly. Like, even if she was a mess of a woman who at the time wasn't on a great path. I was surprised by what happened to the missing girl. I just wasn't particularly impressed by it. I mean, I liked how it all tied together and how it was kind of all about the injustices that happened to women. But I think it was more about how Molly found out. I don't know, I just kind of felt a little bit like, well, she didn't really find out because of her own talents, did she? Like, Posey didn't get the information because she was such a good journalist, like, despite all of her investigating on the dark web. Like, the woman just left a voicemail confessing what she'd done, and she was just unwell, which again was because of men. I'm not sure who was worse when it came to throwing around theories, me or Molly. Because one, I knew there was something wrong with Jack. He was too nice, and although I wanted him just to turn out to be an ordinary nice guy, I knew there was something up. But I was happy with that ending, and I thought it was quite fitting. When Molly was going through her transactions and she found one that must have been for a bottle of wine, I did jump to the conclusion that that must have been the bottle that was next to the bath, so some of my assumptions and theories were way off. However, one thing I did find a little frustrating was just how much Molly would sometimes go off on a new theory and just, like, straight up start accusing people. Like, calm down. Like, one moment she'd be trying to figure out what happened to the missing girl and Posey's investigation, and was in the full belief that that is why her friend was unalived, and then she would find out that her friend had slept with someone and she'd do a total 180, going, maybe I've got this all wrong. I know you murdered my friend. Like, based on very little evidence. Only then to go back to her original theory 10 minutes later, as though she didn't just accuse her neighbour. But then again, Molly was a mess before any of this happened, and I'm just impressed that she was able to leave her apartment at all, because personally I don't think I'd ever be able to show my face again. By the end, I really enjoyed Patrick's story because it wound me up to no end just how much everyone was downplaying what a terrible person he was. Like, yeah, Patrick would do all this terrible stuff, but he'd never unalive a person. He just doesn't have that in him. Well, not only did he commit crimes that, in my opinion, was just as horrible in some ways, he also proved that while he may not have unalived Posey, he was perfectly willing and able to do it to Molly. In the end, we got so many confessions and figured out so many things so quickly, but I wasn't convinced that we were going to actually find out what happened to Posey. It was at, like, the very last second, and I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would have been fine not knowing, like, you know, the acceptance that sometimes you just won't know. But at the same time, while it was really frustratingly simplistic in the who and the why, I think that's kind of why I liked it. I don't know, just that in the end, her death wasn't all that connected. So as for the question, would I recommend the book? Yes, although if it wasn't for the fact that I really enjoyed the ending and it was a reasonably short book, I'm not sure that that would have necessarily have been my answer. In the end though, I really did enjoy it. It was fun, easy to read, and really suspenseful. So, will I be reading any more by Katy Brent? Absolutely. While I might not be in a rush to go and immediately buy another Katy Brent book, I certainly wouldn't mind reading another. Well, let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book? Shelley said she loved this book. The storyline was well written, and the twists kept her interested. The book has a fair few characters, each one playing an important role in a twist or turn in a murder mystery. Shelley did get a little annoyed towards the end of the story when it seemed like the murderer was never going to get confirmed. She had her suspicion, she just needed to know if she was right, and then the last 2 chapters revealed all. Fantastic ending, Shelley would recommend as an easy read. Next week we're discussing The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore, so don't forget to get your comments and thoughts in by Monday the 21st of October at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok or Instagram. The following week will be My Roommate's a Vampire, but don't forget if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it's always appreciated, and I will see you next week. Bye!